Welcome back to Tech Garage. Let's take a look at what we're doing. You know, we're replacing our carburetor here with a fuel-injected system. This is a multi-port injected system. It's running the injectors, but we're gonna put on our Holley EFI Terminator, which blends them both. I think Brian's got us underway. Let's go check them out.
Well, John, we're one step closer. Now, it's really important to get all these mating surfaces everywhere the new gaskets and seals are going to sit really clean and debris-free. And if you knock something loose, get out the shop vac and get that out of the way. I'm pretty happy with this surface. It looks pretty good all the way around. So the next step is to install the seals. Now, we've got an entire new Felpro engine gasket set here that we're using. And of course, the seals only go in one way. Now, set the seals in, get them pretty tight, firm where you want them, and then the new gaskets are going to actually hold them in place on these tabs. You'll see that in just a moment. Set them in. Now, some people, a little bit old-fashioned, old school here, like to use some RTV here down in these corners. There's nothing wrong with that. You just don't have to use RTV like you once did as the primary seal. Not that I've ever done that, of course. New gasket set goes in place, and you'll see the tabs sit right down on the seals, and they only go one way. This side up. You got to follow that. New gasket on the other side. Grab the tabs, set it down. Everything is in place. I like one final visual inspection here. Again, I'm looking for debris, dirt, anything that doesn't belong that I need to remove. So I'm going to remove my rags, fold them over inside, capture all of that, reset this gasket just a little bit because I bumped it, and we're good. And the new Y-end intake manifold. Now look at that. We told you that other one was heavy and this one was light. Well, here's the evidence. It's going to sit right in place. I like to go very gently here. Make sure I'm lined up. It only goes in nice and snug one way. Happy with that. Tolerances are good. Holes are lined up. She's seated down there pretty well, and you'll notice in the coolant passage I have a rag in here. Again, I don't want anything down in there that doesn't belong. But at the back of the engine where the distributor goes, John's got exactly what we need to understand how to get this thing timed right.
That's right. Now, you remember we pulled that distributor out? Once we pulled that distributor out, our timing is just off. We don't know where it is. You can't just take this distributor and stick it in there. Now, MSD sent us this new Pro Billet distributor. This thing's sweet. Going to make a lot of spark, but we have to time the engine. How are we going to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. We already looked up #1 cylinder. You go to #1 cylinder, you pull the spark plug out, and what we did is we turned it over till we felt that puff. That's the compression stroke. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us the piston's up top, dead center, compression stroke, right there where we're ready to fire. So that's where we're going to start on #1. Then, just as importantly, I pull my cap off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my distributor, and I'm going to set it down. But the point here is, I want the actual rotor button to point towards that #1. Now, it doesn't have to be exact, because when you put your cap on, we're going to start with #1, and we're going to work in the firing order all the way around. If you don't do that, it's not going to fire. It's out of firing order. Make sure that your harmonic balancer is dead on 0, top dead center, pointing towards #1. Drop that in. This thing fits like a glove. It's perfect. We'll get that down in there. You know what? Once we get that down in there, I'll bring over that coil. We got an SS Blaster coil. We'll torque all these bolts to specifications, Brian. I'm getting so excited, man. This thing's about ready to crank. We're going to put that Holley EFI Terminator system on this one as soon as we return with more Tech Garage presented by Advance Auto Parts.